guys, it's Katie here with Life in the Mundane, and today I'm going to talk about how to encourage your artistic kids when you are not artistic at all. So we're going to talk about how we can actually teach them to grow and improve in their skills in art, how we can handle the chaos and clutter of the mess that's created by art, and how we can store and manage all the pieces of art that flow through our young creative minds space. So let's get started. So first, how can we help them develop their skills? So one idea is simply to get classes, get outside help by getting classes in a co-op, through the schools, however you want to do that. Maybe a friend that's great at art that you could switch, and maybe you could teach her kids something and she can teach your kids art. Whatever, there's a lot of different options out there for actual classes. But what do you do if that's not in the budget or you want to do something a little bit more regularly in your own home? So there's a couple of things that we have done. I have been blessed with 4 wonderful kids who love to do art. The other 2 are babies, so that's yet to be determined how they feel about it. But 4 kids who love to do art, and I just don't have that skill or talent or love like they do. But I want to see that grow. So we have done classes in our co-op, but for at-home learning, we have done things like using YouTube. YouTube can be really helpful to learn all sorts of new skills. And so there are actually some amazing YouTube channels out there for teaching actual art techniques, as well as just drawing. So my kids love to draw, love to learn to draw new things. So I will link some of those below and above on some of my favorite YouTube channels. Another resource that we've also used is the Homeschool Art Studio DVDs. They have them for every single grade. We just started out with the kindergarten one. Even though I had kids who were older than kindergarten, they again can take those technical skills to wherever they are. But I love the fact that the teacher is a video DVD lesson, and she teaches not only the art concept, but usually some history with the art. They teach Impressionism and all sorts of different concepts. She teaches them, she gives you, if you put the DVD into your computer, you can actually find printed out lesson plans, so you can print out all lesson plans for both your records, but also that have all the supplies that you're going to need, what kind of things they're going to cover. It has discussion points. It makes it super simple for the mom that has no clue. So I love the fact that that resource is available. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them a few other places, but that's definitely a resource that I would say is worth checking out. It's a little bit cheaper than an art class, and it's obviously a little bit more of an investment than a YouTube video since those are free. But there's 3 different ways that we have done to kind of skill up our children to be able to encourage them in this passion that they have when mom just doesn't have a clue. Now that brings us to our second point, and that is how do we contain the mess? Because to be honest, if you are not an art-loving mother, oftentimes what gets to you more than anything, even more than not having this skill to encourage your kids, is just letting them make the mess. And I have to say I haven't perfected this by any means. I still cringe when I see mess, and glitter is still a very, very, very banned substance in my house and will never be allowed again. They have to move out to get their own glitter. But I do allow a lot of resources, and what I suggest with doing that is to have a lot of to give a lot of creativity within boundaries. So what I mean by that is make a boundary of a place for the art stuff. So one of the things that we ran into is my kids love to take art stuff into their bedrooms, and then you would find drawings on the wall or maybe tape on the windows or all sorts of things like that. So we had to make a boundary that it had to be done at the dining room table. So giving them that specific space, and then also giving them access to certain things. So certain things they have access to all the time. I have a drawer in my teacher box, which you can see in my homeschool room tour. I have a drawer of just scrap paper and a drawer of just stickers and tape and things like that. So those basic things that aren't too horribly messy. They always have access to crayons and colored pencils. Those are accessible to them all the time. They know they have to do them at the table, but those are accessible to them all the time. Things that we keep up are things like paint, stamps, just those kinds of things that maybe make a little bit bigger of a mess. But I still have them in a designated area, and they're all things that when we want to pull out that box, of glue and googly eyes and all of that, we've got it. So if you guys ever grew up watching Barney and the Barney bag, growing up, my mom had a Barney bag box for us, and she would keep a box full of yarn and glue and googly eyes. She had leftover tissue boxes and toilet paper rolls and milk crates, milk jugs, and things like that she would put into this big storage tote. She would put it away, and on rainy days or snowy days, whatever, just on a day we were trapped inside the house and we were probably driving her nuts, she would say, let's pull out the box. So we'd pull it out, and we just had creative freedom to go at it. And we would make towns out of all of these different supplies and, you know, create all sorts of fun things. And it was a really fun thing, but it was very controlled. So we were given these opportunities to have this burst of creativity and go crazy, but it was within a designated room with designated supplies, both for regular use, but also for special time purposes. With supervision. And so that really helped. Another thing is, if you've got kids who love to do jewelry, like bead stuff, if they like to do those iron-on crafts, where I can't even think of the name of it, sorry, but where you put the little beads on there and the wax paper and you iron it to make the fun little creations, anything like that with small pieces, especially when you have littles around the house, definitely recommend doing those within like a sheet pan, a cookie sheet. It has edges to it. It keeps things sort of contained. If you do allow glitter in your house, God bless you. But if you do allow glitter in your house, put it on a cutting board, or maybe not a cutting board, but on some kind of even wax paper, some surface like that, so that you can ball up the mess and toss it later. So it just sort of keeps it contained. Has to have gone to Dollar Tree, and even just gotten the cookie sheets or the 9x13 pans from Dollar Tree that I don't care about. I'm not going to cook in, so I don't have to worry about accidentally cooking a craft supply in my brownies one day. But I'll go there and I'll get designated ones for crafting purposes, and that's helped very much contain the mess. I'd love to hear what you guys use. Drop that in the comment, and then tell me if you guys allow glitter or not in your house too. Then the third thing is, how do you deal with the amount of creativity that they produce? You want to encourage your child, you want to encourage them in their artistic endeavor, but it just produces a lot. I don't know about you guys, but my girls in particular, they can sit down for a crafting period of about 10 minutes and produce somewhere around 30 pictures. And it just gets overwhelming. There's just way too much. So I have sort of a whole system that I do for this. And if you guys want to hear more about it, let me know in the comments and I can do a separate video on that. But just to sort of quickly summarize, I basically allow every kid has a bulletin board in their bedroom, and it's just their bulletin board. They can put whatever they want. They can put pictures of people, but they can also put drawings, art stuff, whatever, all over the bulletin board, so it's displayed and it's exciting. But once the bulletin board is full, nothing else can go up there until something else comes down. And if it comes down, it goes in the trash, with a few exceptions, but for the most part, it goes in the trash. So I'm trying to teach my kids that we want to enjoy what we've done, but also encouraging them to save their best. So I want to encourage that, but that gives them the freedom to control it themselves, because sometimes what's really important to them is different than what I would consider to be the best work, whatever it might be. So this allows them to have a space just of their own. I do save out a few pieces, and again, I can talk about that later in another video, but this has really helped giving them that designated area. I will also say I've encouraged my kids more with using sketchbooks. Sketchbooks just like these, usually from Walmart for around $2, I think. And one of the things I love about the sketchbook is they can go crazy. And guess what? It's all bound. It doesn't have to pull out and be separate. And I can flip back later and see their fun artwork. We can later on pull it out if we want, but I actually let them keep these. So the other things I'm pretty much, circle through the board and toss. But for their sketch pads, they put a lot of work in that. They try to make that their nicer things. Maybe they'll draw it on a piece of paper first and then put it on their sketchbook. So I let them keep these. I try to put a date on it, or even an approximate date of when they did it for fun later. And then I put them in a box and we store them up, and sometimes they pull them out and they'll flip through them all. But we go through probably one sketchbook every 3-ish months. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, so it's about 4 a year. Obviously, we're not going to keep them all. As we keep going, we will weed out for sure some of them. But what I love about that is that gives them a contained spot to maybe not do pictures as much as to do things like comic books and also those kind of things. Also, as far as arts and crafts that maybe aren't hangable, that couldn't go on there, if it's jewelry, if it's decorative pieces, whatever it might be, we do the same kind of concept, only they have a box. So you've got like a shoebox size plastic container, and they can put whatever they want in there, and they can have that there. Sometimes they'll display it on their dresser, but it has to be able to fit inside that box. Once that box is full, it's time to weed out some of the lesser favorite items. So just a lot of great ways to keep those things moving. You don't want to end up with a pile of artwork, but I also find when mom interjects and she starts being the deciding factor of what stays and goes, you can harbor a lot of resentment and bitterness in your children. It can be really discouraging when they feel like it's their best work. So give them parameters to work within, but give them the freedom and the responsibility to learn to weed those things out themselves. So I hope that's been helpful. Just a few tips on how to encourage your budding artist. Like I said, I'll drop links below on everything. I would love it if this has been helpful for you to like, share, and comment on this video. Every time that you comment or like a video, it helps it just get out to that many more people, so I always appreciate that. And I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday on making the most of the little moments in home management, homeschooling, and parenting, and everything in between. I hope you guys have a great time and tons of fun with your art. Talk to you later. Bye.